Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Bryan Raya, DBR Bookkeeping, doing business right. Super happy to have this as my first session here for QuickBooks Online training to help answer any questions that people may have about QuickBooks and be a resource for the DBR Bookkeeping community. This is a brand new community that started to help answer your bookkeeping questions that you might have in your business. Specifically, it's really good for, if you're an online community owner, a service-based business, or someone who just like may not need full-on bookkeeping service needs, but you might have questions on a regular basis. Hey, how do I categorize this? How do I pay for this? What do I do about this? How do I pay this person to do this? Are there any other things that I'm missing for tax deductions? And that's what we're really the community is all about. And one of the big things that we're talking about in the community is QuickBooks Online. For me, that is the preferred platform to help track expenses and revenue, and be really the financial hub for your business. So today's objective of this training is to kind of go, well, what is QuickBooks Online for the newer small business owner, and is it right for me? And that's the question that you want to kind of ask as you have your business. So um, so let's get into it a little bit. So again, this is the DBR bookkeeping community that we're just talking about, and it's here. And these recordings will be in the classroom up here. I'll be making an archive of these recordings and some recaps. So in today's training, we're going to be talking about QuickBooks. And what is QuickBooks? QuickBooks Online, and well, QuickBooks in general, it's hosted by Intuit, Intuit, and it's part of like a platform of basically financial management accounting software for businesses. And you see, they have multiple different plans that you can try and select. And we'll talk about kind of like what these different plans do and some of the features. If you go to the quickbooks.intuit.com pricing right here, you can learn more about QuickBooks. So what Online is that it's a cloud-based accounting software, which means you log in to the program. And in that program, which is cloud-based, you can connect your bank accounts, your credit cards, and a lot of those type of financial institutions into it so that you can pull in transactions so that you can categorize those transactions, both income and expenses. And then from that, it takes that data where you can create reports, create profit and loss, create your balance sheet, stuff that you need for your taxes, stuff that you might need for a business loan, or just for how much you're making, and you can actually go, right, how much did I make last month um, of my revenue minus my expenses to get your final bottom line. That's basically what QuickBooks is. And I'm gonna do a little demonstration here about it later. Um, and a lot of people wonder is like, well, should I even start? Should I even have QuickBooks? How should I even do this thing or not? One cool thing about QuickBooks is that they do have trials where you can do like, half off, or sometimes they have 30-day trials. Just it kind of depends on what new thing they have. And you can try it out and it shows you the features of what it is. The other great thing about QuickBooks is that there's actually QuickBooks support on there. You can contact QuickBooks to ask them questions about the platform. How do you do this? How do I do that? Which is a great tool. I'm trying to create the community so that you can ask those questions in the community as well. And if you want to record something, or if you want to, hey, share my screen, create a loom. I'm trying to do this. How did you do this? We can talk about that in the community and walk through those things. For a lot of us smaller business owners who are now, I do want to say you definitely want to, you don't need to be making money necessarily to start your QuickBooks or even to start your business. I think what a lot of people do is they wait until they actually make their first sale, or like, get their first monies in, and then they start tracking their expenses. Well, in the business world, almost all businesses spend money before you make any money. So in this case, so if you're going to, paying money to get your an LLC set up, you're paying money to, get your subscription. If you're on Skool, you're paying money to, get your school subscription set up. All these type of things, it's very possible that you could be spending money on business expenses for 2, 3, 4 months until you actually make any money. So even if you haven't made any money yet, you still want to be tracking all your early expenses. The IRS expects, all new businesses to be spending more than they're making in, um, because it's just like it just costs money just to start a business. And one of those expenses could be your QuickBooks subscription. So especially if you're having a lot of different expenses that you're doing for your business, or you got any subscriptions, you're buying materials, you're doing some professional development and training specifically for your business or for the skills, it wouldn't be a bad idea to get a simple start, try it out for a few months, and you can pause your subscription, and you actually still have access to the data up to a year. You just can't go in and download transactions or do anything in QuickBooks, but the data will be still there. So if you want to, like, you know what, I want to pause my plan, life happens, you can do that and then come back to it 2 months or later, and it's fine. It is a subscription-based plan. So every month it takes a small fee. You can see here's the regular fee and here's the discounted promotional rate, um, through here. And these are the four major ones. So we'll briefly talk about these plans and what's kind of like the difference between them for your businesses, right? So as I mentioned, the Simple Start plan is your most basic plan for here. For most businesses, this is probably the best plan you can use. It will track all your expenses. It will track all your revenue. You can create bank accounts. Um, and the usual number of capabilities is just fine for many online community owners, service-based businesses like that. As you get with higher subscriptions, this means what we call there's more accounts. You can have more capabilities as far as tracking inventory. If you're an inventory-based business, you might have more users that you might having a bookkeeper, having an admin person part of your team. You might need that on there as well. And basically, it just gets more and more as you get here into the higher subscription models. As you can see, you can have up to 25 users in the most advanced plan. You can do if you're doing this is for like big, large businesses of making millions of dollars. This is really neat, really great because down here you can see you can um, track all these assets. You can sync with Excel. You can do large batches of invoices and expenses. There's workflow automation, 24-hour training and support specifically for the people using this um, subscription model. Again, we mentioned inventory, project profitability, financial planning capabilities, all those type of stuff is like it can get really thorough with it. But for a lot of us, what we just need is just to be able to track our expenses and do and our revenue and just create some basic financial reports for your business. And for many businesses, um, this is the perfectly fine, the simple start basic plan. And if you have any questions about this, you can let me know. There are additional things where you can add payroll. There's QuickBooks Payroll. That's a different subscription model that you can add to it. So I'll kind of walk you through if you were to choose this plan, right? Then it's going to ask you if you have payroll, if you have employees. There's different models for that, for the number of employees, and again, different expert setup for the top level. Um, and it's all good, right? Or you can just continue it without payroll, right? And then once you're ready to go, you can check out, you put in your information in here, and you can start your subscription super fast and easy. And this is all on the QuickBooks Online website. And you go under plans and pricing. All right, so that's like my quick little thing on QuickBooks and all that type of stuff. Michael, I know you're kind of doing a few things there, but I did want to open up to you on maybe some of your initial questions that you might having about really bookkeeping or business or anything right now.
I hit you with a bunch of questions a couple of days ago, and you did mention that QuickBooks has payroll. Um, should I hire an admin or something like that?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Um, so when it comes to hiring employees or contractors. So employees, in the most traditional sense, these are your W-2 employees. Employees are people that will work for your business who have a set certain of hours. Usually if they have a certain expectation, they have to be at a certain place at a certain time during certain hours. Those are usually called an employee. Those could be an admin person. Those could be a marketing person, a sales team. They could be anybody that's on who's officially part as an employee. Now, for a lot of us, actually, what I actually recommend is that we pay independent contractors. So an independent contractor is somebody who doesn't have set hours who has a little bit more flexibility. They are paid for a specific duty. So for example, like a bookkeeper, like if I was just a freelance bookkeeper and you just wanted to pay me for bookkeeping, right? You don't have to put me as a W-2 employee. I do my own hours. We collaborate. It's more of a partnership. Um, and you do it as an independent contractor. In the construction world, a lot of the people who work on projects are independent contractors, and they are not employees. So what that means for payroll is that when you pay an independent contractor, you don't have to pay, and you're not responsible for any of like the payroll taxes, Social Security, Medicare, or anything like that. As an independent contractor, if you were to hire an admin person, like say, hey, I just need someone to help me organize a couple of, emails, do some stuff on Skool, you have flexible hours. If you have something like that, then you can actually have them be an independent contractor and pay them a flat salary, say, two, $300 a month or whatever your rate that you might have, um, and that's it. And you just pay them with a simple check, or simple transfer, and it's really easy. You don't have to withhold any taxes. You don't have to do any like employee benefits, healthcare, 401ks, all those type of more, advanced payroll things that we hear in the more in the traditional corporate world. Here, you just pay them $200 a month, and it's good. Now, for those contractors, all you do as a business owner is you need to collect what we call is a W-9. And I actually, I'm able to pull up an example W-9 here. It's a really simple form that um, uh, W-9 form. Yep, here it is. It's this very simple form. You might have even filled it out yourself, basically, where your contractor, say you want to hire someone as an admin to maybe help you with anything. You collect this form with their name. They're probably an individual, maybe an LLC that has their address. If there's an individual that doesn't have an tax number, then they can just use their social security number, right? And then they sign it, and then you collect this. And then in January of the following year, then you file what we call a 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation, and you total all the amount that you paid them. So if you paid them $200 a month for 12 months, 2 times 12 is $2,400, right? Then you file this single report that says, I paid this person, whoever on that W-9, $2,400 for that last tax year, and then you are good. Um,
So, would QuickBooks have a form for that? I mean,
Yes. So QuickBooks can help track who your contractors are. QuickBooks actually can help you send out this W-9 form through email to people. And then actually QuickBooks in January, you can, if all as long as their information is all up to date, it can file these things and basically sends these contractors their forms because basically what these contractors use, they take that 1099 and take it to do their taxes. But for you, you're all done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it sounds super simple.
Yeah, it really is. That's a
And
lot of businesses use contractors because they don't have to worry about payroll and they don't have to worry about all that extra stuff. They just all they gotta do is collect this one form, all right, which is really easy to fill out, right?
right.
And then keep track of how much they actually paid them throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, file this
And
one form and with
and
the
I was thinking that's an expense that you would enter every month in QuickBooks,
yes.
and they would keep track of it for you, and then all that. It just sounds really good to me for getting, for a little business guy getting started and not getting crosswise with the IRS.
Yeah, exactly. You want because QuickBooks will pull in all those transactions. You can clearly see that over a month, over the year. Because what happens is that it's so easy to go, wait, how much did I pay for that
Yeah.
4 months ago? Did I pay you this or that? I don't remember, I I forget what I paid for last week,
Hmm.
let alone what I paid for 6 months ago.
And I was just thinking of I bought an annual subscription in December or maybe November.
Mhm.
But can I deduct a percentage of that because I'm using it in 2025?
Uh,
Sorry.
so those
Sorry, I'm
expense,
asking you tax questions and
yeah,
I
no,
keep
it's fine.
remembering you're a bookkeeper.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I dance in that realm a little bit too, right? And
Okay.
so it's not to say that I know. And again, I'll preface: I am not a tax professional. I don't do taxes. I'm strictly the bookkeeper. But usually, how expenses work is that if you started your business, say any business, say started in November, December, at the end of a year, right?
Okay.
All those expenses, right, can be tracked. Like I started my business in late October, so I didn't make any money my first 2 months in business, but I had expenses for sure. So when I did my taxes for that very first year, even though I was in business for only 2+ months, right, I still gave my tax preparer, all right, yes, here are some expenses that I had for my business. And I had a profit and loss and I had a loss for my business. But at the time, I filed as a sole proprietor, right? And so that it just kind of helped with my overall tax liability when I did my taxes because they said, "Oh, there's this money here for this business loss." So I
Hmm.
that's I tracked it for that year.
Right.
In your case, some people, you know, they might put it like, "Well, I bought this thing on December 30th." Right. Yeah, and I want it, but I want to put it into this year's tax stuff. Technically, yes, you can do that to a degree, right? There's the ways to account for that. But traditionally speaking, we want to keep those expenses and revenue by year.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
why a lot of businesses at the end of the year, they might be doing some last minute purchases because they're like, oh, we need to get some expenses so to
Right.
help with our taxes. So let's make this big purchase now to lower our tax liability. So they might make some big donations to, a charity or a cause to help with those things as well. So that's why December is always an interesting time. And that's why a lot, you talk to your CPA like, hey, is there anything we can do here in November, December to help with tax strategy? And sometimes you can, and sometimes they're like you can't. Um,
Right.
just depending on where you are in your business. But yeah, that's a good question though. The questions you asked were really good, especially about like like the W-9 and having a contractor and
Right. Right.
um
I was thinking I forgot all about W-9s and, hiring an admin on contract and stuff like that.
yeah, which I think for for where you are, it's probably like it's a much easier way to do that. And but you're still being very compliant. You're still
Right,
doing you're not going to get huge red flags, and they're not going to get huge red flags either, um, on their side.
right.
But yeah,
So, mm, so I was thinking I would set up a business checking account or even
mm,
a completely separate business account.
yes,
Hopefully, that's a bookkeeping question.
yes,
And then that's the one I would give online or QuickBooks Online access to.
correct. Correct. You will only want the business accounts connected. I've actually seen that issue where people connect all their bank accounts to QuickBooks, and that just creates more work than need be. So if you create that one business account, maybe a business savings account and maybe a credit card, those are the only business things because you're only categorizing transactions that are only business. That's the
Yeah,
best way to do
yeah,
it. That's the best way to do it. Yeah. You don't need to be categorizing, your groceries and, your little hobbies and, like, because it's creating extra work for you and your bookkeeping. That's why one, like, the number one rule for small business owners that I tell everybody is like, keep your personal and business finances separate. It's like, I unfortunately I've seen some really bad horror stories of people really commingling, and it's a pain in the butt to sort out. It's not
right, right.
it's not fun for anybody involved, for the owner, for me, for the CPA. We're all just being miserable. Just because they didn't separate their bank accounts on something so simple like that.
Right. Well, good things to recall. We have been in business previously um, that we retired from. So
Uh-huh. And what was that business before?
we did the estate sale business,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and my wife actually worked at our accountant's bookkeeper's office, so she could get the very best tax care, you know, possible because she didn't want to sit in on an audit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One of my clients, they get an annual audit, and they're actually a nonprofit. Um, and so the stress always gets a little high right before that.
Mm-hmm.
Want to make
Yeah.
sure, like, is everything good? Do we have everything that we need? And before I worked with them, I was like, how did you guys pass this audit? I was like, like
I
it was pretty the way they were doing their books on QuickBooks was like really archaic
mm.
in most simple sense.
so so you were able to give them a good image of why you were such a good choice to hire.
Yeah.
I'm going to save you guys so much hassle.
Yeah, it's funny because they love me now. They're one of my favorite clients, and they just like every month they're like, "Thank you so much," because we don't know what we're really doing. And I meet with them, probably once a month and talk to them. I send them reports, and I just like, and really, I just double check a lot of what they're doing. They just kind of like, so I'll go and like, oops, they miscategorized this. Oops, they did this. And I'll just go and fix that. Or I'll get emails and say, hey, how do you do this? What am I doing? Like, this is just do this and that and this and that. And so that's kind of where I kind of the idea of this community of like, hey, it'd just be nice to have a place where you can like ask these quick little questions. Hey,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what do I do about this or that? Or can I do this? Or, what's a good blah for this? Because, because sometimes Google or even ChatGPT doesn't really necessarily give you the best answer.
Right, right.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just nice to know you're hearing it from like a human who's actually doing this stuff on a regular basis. Who's like, yeah, that's fine. You can totally do that. This is,
And that was part of the reason that I wanted to mention you in unretirement
yes, yeah,
and the
yeah.
other people. So um, maybe when they start seeing it, they realize that this is somebody that they can get help from.
Hmm.
Because you and I aren't really competing for the same people.
Oh, no, no, no,
Yeah.
not. you know,
But but if they're running, starting a business, knowing a bookkeeper that they could have built a relationship with
yeah. And
is nice.
ask those basic questions. Hey, what about that? That's what I'm working on right now. I'm actually I've been recording and making these modules on kind of bookkeeping 101 for small business owners. Um, terms, um, s- how to set up your basic finances, kind of like we were talking about, set up your bank account, you know, do your expense
Yeah,
track,
yeah,
figure out how you're going to pay yourself or pay others, whether that's through payroll, through official payroll, or just by writing a check and tracking it. Just all those type of things. I'm creating that first initial course module that I hope to hopefully will be done here in the next few days. But as you know, building any type of course just takes a little bit of time to get it all out and record it and make sure you sound somewhat intelligent.
yeah, yeah. But how many people are going to know what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, and
Bookkeeping.
yeah, and that's the other thing too, is trying to really simplify the language
Mm,
because we all have experience in it in lots of areas, and the terms and knowledge and lingo we might know. Yeah, I've been talking about this for years, decades, but for
yeah,
some, they're
yeah.
like, you know,
Like me, I'm going. Don't use jargon. And oh, by the way, this LLM can blah blah blah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, heck, even the
What's
term
an
A,
LLM?
uh-huh, even the term AI. Some people are like, wait, which
Haven't
AI?
gotten it yet.
Which
Yeah.
AI are we talking about? Who's AI? Which
Hmm.
AI?
Hmm.
And like, because there's the broader term of AI, right? The concept of AI, but then there's like, that goes even to deeper levels. So even people get confused in there. So that's something I'm trying to be very mindful and cognizant about is like, all right, let's try to explain these things in very simple terms. It reinforces the people who do understand it really well, like, oh yeah, I got it.
Right.
No problem.
Right.
And then the people who are like, I'm brand new, I have no idea, especially on Skool, because people are trying to start maybe their very first business ever is on Skool. Let me try this little thing, and they have it's a lot to run a business. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, yeah. My wife did all the paperwork, and you know, I was happy to be the muscle in the equation.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you think about all the different hats that we have to wear between, the admin, between the bookkeeping, between the sales, the marketing, the actual product or service, the actual
Right.
business,
Right.
right? And then, all those type of things, it can get a little overwhelming for anybody. So that's one of the reasons I love about Skool because, we can find communities of areas that maybe we're weak in, and they're like, ooh, I want to learn about that. Let me get some information about that, and we can all help each other because I don't know everything. I am far from it.
And I sure don't know everything about what I do know stuff about. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Like I'm still learning about bookkeeping and financial management, and even with, even though I don't do taxes, I still want to learn about some of like the tax basics and understand my role as a bookkeeper in terms of,
Okay. Okay.
taxes. So that's why I try to build relationships with CPAs and EAs and tax professionals and have conversations with them so that I can keep learning. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, I can see how my role fits into that.
Mm.
Yeah, because here's the reality, like CPAs, they most of them hate bookkeeping. They hate the day-to-day grind of like all the
Yeah. Yeah.
transactions and everything. They're much bigger picture macro. They want to know, all right, how much did you make? I made 100,000. Cool. What were your expenses? 80,000. Cool. Like that's, but what happens is that whatever you tell your CPA, they're gonna trust you. You know, that it's your responsibility to give good numbers to them. Um, because most CPAs just kind of like, just, all right, that's what you made. All right, I'm gonna file that, and that's what we're gonna do.
Right.
Um, so
You know,
yeah.
Because you wrote the book on AI, and I did skim through it when you first, you know,
Mhm.
made it available. And I did go back to it on one small area, but I'm kind of curious what what are some simple things that AI can do for, let's say, me as a school owner? And if you don't have something right off the top of your head, I'm
Oh,
okay with
oh no,
that.
no, I use ChatGPT every day.
Hmm.
All the time. And I use it for a lot of different type of stuff. Um, I I love to use it to brainstorm.
Yeah, that's been really good for me.
Like sometimes, like sometimes I just need to get the juices going,
I agree. Yeah,
right?
it's really good for that.
Yeah. So say their community. So say like my community about X bookkeeping. So I can go to ChatGPT, all right, just give me a list of the benefits of bookkeeping. Okay. And it just And while I know most of them, it might say it in a different way, like, oh, that's a good way to say that. I didn't
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't think about it in that way, right? Or I can say, what are common issues that people have with bookkeeping, or what are frequently asked questions people have about bookkeeping? And you just start just really exploring that, and it can just get the juices flowing. But even like in the school community, you can use ChatGPT to help with your posts, right? You can help it, generate a nice post about a topic or something like that. It can help generate outlines for courses. The courses that I've generated that I'm making right now, I use ChatGPT to kind of like, all right, give me an outline, right? And I
yeah.
communicate, I give a really good prompt, right? I want an outline for this that goes about this. And I do think one of the best things that I love to do with ChatGPT is that I ask for something, and then at the end I go, ask me, ChatGPT, of any clarifying questions that to help you, ChatGPT, get a better answer. So, like that's one of like the most powerful things that I have found because now ChatGPT asks me questions. Well, what about this or that? Oh, well, let's do this. Or did you want A, B, or C? Oh, let's do B. And so then I say that, enter all those kind of couple questions, and then my final output is really good. I'm like, oh
A whole lot better. Yeah.
yeah, this is what I want. And then I can tweak that. I've made blog posts that I put onto my website. I've made social media posts. I have, you can put even like, you can put data in there a little bit. Never put personal data, never put personal information, but say, like, hey, what kind of trends do you see in this spreadsheet as far as you know, what expense, like say like financial data, like what expense do you see is the most expensive? Let's break down the margins. I've asked it to do math problems. I've asked it to do equations. Um, you know, yeah, I have I have three different chat GPTs up on my browser up all time
Oh,
for
really?
yep, for different things. I got like regular chat GPT. I created a doing business right GPT where I put in a lot of my ideas, thoughts,
Oh, okay.
and I'm more of like a bookkeeping GPT. And then I there's an actually somebody created an Alex Hermosi GPT, and where they just put a whole bunch of Alex Hermosi's thoughts on business and this and that. And so then I go, right, what would Alex Hermosi say about why businesses need bookkeeping. And then that helps me generate, oh, that's from his perspective. And it uses his tone and his language. And I'm like, so yeah,
You just given me some couple of really good ideas on what I can do
yeah.
with it. I don't have any spreadsheets per se to dump into it, but somebody sat down and took all of the monthly talks that Alex did
Hmm.
and put them into a Notion. Then I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could upload that to my AI and put it into an Alex persona. That's what I call them.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
personas as
Uh,
opposed to GPTs, basically the same
yeah, the
thing.
same. Yeah, yeah.
And then I could say, yeah, like what would Alex say about this? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
What would I say about that? Or which is great now because you can you can get transcripts of full on podcast, an hour-long podcast, and you can put that into, GPT and say, hey, summarize this. What are
Yeah,
the key
yeah.
points? And you can get that down into a really nice, tight um summary.
I I did that with the recent one that Evelyn Weiss did,
Hmm.
I think in the last couple of days. I wasn't really happy with the way it summarized it. And that's probably just my mentality
Yeah.
isn't tuned to it that way. And I have to figure out how to get it to write it so Michael Bridges will understand it as
Yeah.
opposed to, how it's used to saying it.
Yeah, and that's why I like to play with when I communicate with the GPT. I like make the language more simplistic or put it at a third grade level.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
or I'll even ask it like, can you give me a story or an example for this concept? And then it kind of like puts it, and that helps me too. Oh, hello.
Sorry for, yeah. She can't hear you, but she says hi.
Okay, hi.
Bye. Okay, I'd like to meet you IRL.
Yeah,
If you
that's all. Well, look at There you go. I know. So yeah, you gotta get all the lingo. Yeah, yeah. When I first saw
oh God, yeah.
IRL, I was so confused. Like, what IRL? What are we talking about?
like LLM,
Yeah,
AI,
yeah, I know. But
MRR.
hopefully those are some ideas with like some AI and ChatGPT and using it, and I just think it's really fun, and it just helps. Um, it saves me so much time. It just saves me so much
It
time.
has saved me months of time. I tell you,
Yeah.
I when I finally got that subscription, it's to multiple LLMs.
Mm.
It's I guess what they call a wraparound service,
Yeah.
where he subscribes to all the LLMs and then charges a small
Okay.
subscription fee for us to use. And that just really moved me ahead.
Yeah, that's
In
awesome.
yeah.
Hey, I'm still learning too. Okay.
oh, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. And that's what I'm try to be pretty open about with my group.
Yeah.
Say I was smart enough to start a group, but I don't know everything about what I
Oh
want to
yeah.
say.
Yeah,
So
I actually just started. I think I just integrated the AI meeting notes, I think last month. So it's still
mhm.
like I was like, I want to record my meetings and have them these things so I can track this information better. So I'm still learning that platform too, amongst all the other 50 million platforms I'm trying to figure out too.
Thank you very much for today. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem, Mike. Well, I appreciate you coming out and hearing a little bit about QuickBooks, talking a little business, talking a little AI. I always enjoy talking a little AI. It's an interesting.
Well,
Uh,
great.
and but again, thank you for your support. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in there. And because they'll just come up. Just ideas, little questions, they just come up, and that's why I want to create the community. Because it's hard to remember everything in 45 minutes.
Gosh, yeah. Yeah.
All right,
I'm trying to
Michael.
remember. Yeah. All right. Talk to you
All right.
later.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.